we can cover a lot of different things with one. So when we talk about holiday health, we're talking about actually between now through January. We had some people last year that actually went between Thanksgiving and New Year's. I'm going to give you some tips on that. The key is to do it where you don't feel deprived, but you still get to do all the fun things that are out there. So that's what we're talking about. All right, to start off with our overview, we're going to look at why we've got an average of 10 pounds. That number is really kind of skewed. We really don't know. We do know that people typically gain weight during the holiday season, but not sure how much. But the reports that come in are anywhere from 10 to 14. You hear 18. You hear a lot of different numbers. But we do know that generally people do gain weight during the holiday season. There's a lot of factors in that we're going to look at. We're going to talk about, of course, the exercise and nutrition components when we're looking at weight gain. So those will be two of our keys. And then we've got other considerations for holiday health and goal setting. And when we talk about other conditions, we're talking about sleep and stress and all the different things that seem to fall by the wayside during the holidays to make sure we're on track, not just for a lower weight, but better health overall. That's what we're looking for when we're talking about decreasing body weight and managing body fat and all those nice things that are out there. So those are our overviews. And to start off, of course, we're going to look into our challenges. And that's what I like to do with every class is kind of present the problem, and then we'll talk about the solutions and what we can actually do about that problem. So first off, we know the weight gain's there, but why is it there? What are we seeing? We're seeing food portions larger than any other time throughout the year. And we've got food availability everywhere. We've got leftovers. Most people are turning to food for entertainment during the holidays. We find ourselves at home off work, not much to do. We know there's some food in the fridge that's left over. It tastes good. We turn to it, and our eating schedules get really out of whack during that period of time. We also have the high-calorie and high-fat foods. Most of the foods that we fix for the holidays are done for taste and done for the experience of the food. So most of the taste come through the sugars and the fats. And because of that, we see a lot of the high-calorie foods out there. We also get a ton of liquid calories here. We've got the eggnogs, we've got the alcoholic drinks, we've got sodas, we've got, in the southeast here, sweet tea being one of the major drinks that we're taking in. And we're taking in a lot of liquid calories that people don't count all the time, so we have to look out for that. But again, the eating schedules are really out of whack. They're sporadic. Nothing is set. Nothing has a good pattern to it. It's pretty much just eat when the food presents itself or when the parties come up. And that's what we got to get away from. We have to take a little bit of a proactive approach on what we're doing with our consumption during the holidays. But the trick is, like I said, to make sure that we're not depriving ourselves where we hate what we're doing. We want to enjoy the holidays, enjoy the food, and have fun with it. And there are ways to do that. We also have lack of activity. Now, that, of course, comes first off with the cold weather. We know we can cover up, we can get that big jacket, or we can wear long pants or whatever. So because of that, we do tend to slip a little bit with activities. Our schedules are usually much more hectic, and most people throughout the entire year, throughout typical lifestyles, will plug in fitness and activities if they've got time. It's usually if they've got residual hours left, they'll try to throw some in. And we don't put that on the forefront. Our priority is to work during the holidays with the schedules. And then most people that say that they don't get exercise during the holidays, if you ask them about it, they'll say, well, I'm waiting for the new year. I'm going to get my New Year's resolution in check. January, I'm going to hit it hard, and that's when I'm going to make some progress. So what happens is if you look at the trends with people exercising, it is typical across the board for most people. It's a spike in January with the resolutions. It falls off because they go out and they get too hard and burn out. Then they have a slow time, and then they pick back up in April because it's about to get the the summer season and shorts and everything else, any weather. And then it stays a little while, then it drops back off when the cool weather sets in, and stays pretty much along through the holidays and picks back up in January. So what we keep doing is we keep demolishing ourselves and then trying to recover, and hurting ourselves again and trying to recover. Over and over and over again, we're going to have consistency with our patterns, and that's what we want to do. Instead of waiting for the new year, we need to go ahead and start now. I'll show you how to do that. Once again, without waiting for the new year. And on top of this, our stress levels are usually very high during the holiday season. The two main reasons for that way up because we have a lot more, we have to do a lot more on our plate. We have, we're planning social engagements, or we know we're going to have to do all these different things. But the second is financial. A lot of people complain about financial stress during the holidays, that they're having to buy all the gifts and all the things that they have to do. So because of those two, we see a lot of problems. Now with this, I don't have sleep in here, but I can tell you, if your stress levels are high, or if you're not getting good activity, or if your food is real sporadic, then your sleep patterns actually change. And because of that, people complain of not getting good sleep. On the back end, they start seeing less energy. That is a definite deterrent to wanting to be physically active. So again, we see activity slip. It's a snowball effect, and we've got to reverse it if we want to get ourselves where we need to be. All right, understanding the challenges. We know we've got our eating habits first off. We've got lack of activity, and we've got environment. With eating habits, food portions larger than they've ever been before. Cookbooks now are serving less people for the same amount of food as what they used to serve back in the 50s and 60s. There are the same recipes in a lot of popular cookbooks, but instead of serving 6 people, they'll only serve 4. We're also seeing larger food portions at the restaurants. You know, you can go somewhere and split with someone else and almost still get a to-go box unless you do overeat. There's a lot of food being presented to us. Food industry is focused. When we talk about more calories, the food is supplying more calories are body calling energy. So cravings are skyrocketing. And then we have food associated with just about everything. Some of those that we've got, of course, New Year's Day is not getting Thanksgiving, we've got Christmas, we've got all the leftovers from all of those, we've got office parties, New Year's Eve, galleries, all the social events and sporting events. And the sporting events, what do you think of when someone says, let's go to a football game? You think of a tailgate party, and you think of the food that's going to be there. If someone says to come over for Thanksgiving, what do you think? I'm going to Thanksgiving dinner, right? Christmas dinner. Everybody says, all right, let's associate food with all these things. And that's where we are with our eating habits. Now, with the lack of activity, we got technology making it easy for us to be lazy. Physical movements are not required for a lot of our daily functions. If you go to the Atlanta airport now, they've got moving sidewalks, of course, what we always talk about, so you don't even have to walk. But we see escalators and elevators. We see courtesy cars. We see home shopping. Last year, I took my wife bought everything for my child off the car and drive. Everything was bought off the internet and mailed to our house. So technology is great, but it is making us be less active. Segway, the human transporter. If y'all haven't seen that before, it's replacing walking. A lot of these things at one time were reserved for the handicapped, but they're being used by mainstream people right now because we're not getting that that we need. And then the internet, of course. The internet, again, you can sit and do a lot of things from the internet, but you don't have to be prepared. That's like I was talking about the shopping. And then we got the environment, the commercial wellness market, has told us that quick and easy is the way to go. So we know quick and easy is not going to get us what we can do long term. Poor health is taking on a physical mentality and false information is rampant out there. And our use weight management, we're talking about holiday weight gain. You know, if you look at the internet, if you look on the television, magazines, whatever, there is a whole lot of bad information out there. There's a whole lot of good information out there. But reading through it is a challenge for a lot of people. If you do a Google search for weight management, you're going to get a few 100,000 hits that are going to come up. So how do you filter out what is good and what is bad? We're actually we're being flooded by bad information out there, and that's one of the problems that we've got. But again, we've got the internet, the wild west of information. Best-selling books. Best-selling book does not mean it's a valid book. There's numerous best-selling books out there that are full of bad information with weight management. So you have to be careful. Just because it's a best-selling doesn't mean it's good. Magazines have to sell you something new. They want to grab your attention when you're on the checkout of the grocery store aisle. So they're going to have a new way to decrease body fat every single issue. And they really push the limits on what they do to try to get you to buy that magazine. So you have to be careful with those as well. Gym personnel. A lot of gym personnel have adequate accreditations behind their names, but a lot of them don't. Just because someone is a certified personal trainer does not mean that they have the background to teach you health and wellness and to design your weight management program. So you've got to watch out for that. You can get a certification in about 45 minutes on the internet. Pay about $100. You can go take a class for a couple of days at Atlanta and get one that's bucked up a little bit, or you can go take one that's a couple of weeks from actually some legitimate organizations. But you have to ask yourself, is 2 weeks, even on the higher end certifications that they have, enough to train someone to be able to teach you how to manage your weight? You wouldn't go to a physician that only had 2 weeks of doctorate school. So you need to make sure you're checking your sources before you move forward. That's one of the ones that gets a lot of people in trouble. We do a lot of redirection with personal trainers that are out there. And then you got success stories. And when we talk about success stories, I've talked about this before, but if we all work for the same company and we had someone that worked with us, they weighed 250 pounds, they moved away, they came back, they weighed 150 pounds, what would we say? How did you do it? That'd be our first question. And that's the worst question we could ask. Because that person is totally different from us. They're going to respond differently. Their sleep patterns are different. Their energy care is different. Their stress levels are different. Their nutrition's different. They may be following some specific diet. That's fine. But their exercise patterns are going to be different. A lot of different things have to happen. I can take 2 people, put them on the exact same program, even in a controlled environment, they will respond differently. So your program has to be engineered for you, for your needs, your abilities, and your desires. Everybody's different. So a canned program is really not the best way to go with the weight management thing, and that's what happens with the success stories. Success stories should spark your interest, but only to look into it, not to jump on the bandwagon just because someone has lost a lot of weight on the latest fad diet that's out there. A lot of people get in trouble with that. So these are our challenges. This is where we find ourselves, and this is why it's so hard for a lot of people to actually manage weight, not only during the holiday season, but in general. A lot of people have to find this very challenging. Everyone knows that our obesity rates are out there. But we can't break through all this stuff and stick with what we know works. The snowball effect is one of our biggest problems with this. When we got the new year, we've got our busiest work schedules, and this is what happens when people say, I'm going to wait till the new year. I'm going to wait till January, set my resolution, and I'm going to really hit it hard. But when we get to that, our work schedules, again, are very hectic. We've also got tax season. We've got the coldest months of the year. Now, backing up with tax season, we got 2 obligations there. We got the administrative task of having to organize all of our stuff, which is stressful. And then you're stressed out on the amount of money you're either going to pay or you're going to get back. If you get something back, it's never enough. If you're going to pay, it's always too much. So our bottom line with tax season is going to cause us stress. With the coldest months again of the year, the body actually will shut down a little bit. It's almost like a hibernating animal wanting to conserve as much energy as possible. Your body wants to conserve energy for the insulation, for your core regulation and your heat conservation. So the body's not as ready to get out and be as active as it is during the summer months. It's a fact out there. All right, and then we've got the increased stress levels because of all these things that are going on. Our energy is a little bit less because of that and less sleep. And there's a tie-in, and I mention this a lot, there's a big tie-in between stress, nutrition, exercise, energy, and sleep. And if we don't have all those in check and all those in balance, the others are going to suffer. So we have to look at this approach that we've got with weight management as a whole, and not just, I'm going to drop a few pounds between here and the new year. So the big question is, what do we do about all this? How do we turn all this stuff around? We understand there's a problem. We understand where we need to go. What are we going to do about it? So I'm going to give you a couple of tips here. Here's a question you can ask yourself. Do you ever tell yourself exercise is not that much fun, or I get bored with it, or I've tried a variety of different things? I try to promote enjoyment of an exercise program. I say, let's find some physical activity that you will look forward to and continue to do. And sometimes there's a search in there. But during that search, the question I ask people is, would you rather live with 30 minutes of exercise each day or 24 hours of the feelings that you get from being overweight each day? So if we plug in 30 minutes, even if it's not the most conducive thing that you want to do to your needs and your desires and your lifestyle, let's go ahead and plug it, get it done, get it knocked out, and we will actually see 23 and a half hours of living better. If you say, well, sleep, I'm not impacted. Yes, you are. If you're overweight, you got sleep apnea, you got all kind of things going on. So your life is impacted by body weight. And sacrificing 30 minutes a day to actually start moving in the right direction is a pretty good trade-off. So it's one way to look at it.